My third book is titled The Curse of Surya. This book is a crime thriller with a backdrop of Hindu religion, mythology and history. So it's a mix of two. It's a modern day crime story where the protagonists are all coming from different parts of the world to India, and they are in search of a relic which was lost 5,000 years back. That is the essential story. Okay, so maybe I should give a little bit background about what this gem is. There is a gem known as Shamantaka gem which was there during the times of Lord Krishna, and it was lost 5,000 years ago. And even today no one knows where it is, in which part of the world this gem lies in. So different people come to India on a different purpose. There is a main protagonist is a lady by name Sangeeta Rao, who is an Indian but working in Singapore for a TV channel. She comes to Agra to cover a very important event, which is the meeting of the President of Singapore and President of India. And there she meets a Welsh person by name Alan Davis. And Alan Davis says that we have got a very important conference of All Saints conference going on in Mathura, which is just 45 minutes drive from here. Let's go there, because there one of the saints is going to reveal the location of Shamantaka gem. Now Shamantaka gem incidentally is so powerful that it is believed that if a devotee prays with lot of sincerity, it will generate 77 kgs of gold every day. So you can imagine the power, 77 kgs gold per day is, you can become a billionaire in no time. So the entire world wants to listen to the Swamiji, they want to know where is the location. And Sangeeta Rao and Alan Davis both go to Mathura to listen to the talk. And incidentally there is a major terrorist attack there, bomb blast in that temple. And these two get or almost get caught for the bomb blast. They are wrongly accused of the terrorist attack in the temple. And they also meet one more person, one French person by name Anton Blanchard, who is come from USA. He says he is helping the Indian government to find this gem. So the next 150 to 200 pages is about these three protagonists, Sangeeta Rao, Alan Davis and Anton Blanchard, how they go in hunt of the gem. And they are chased by the police on one hand, because police thinks that these three are the terrorists who are involved in the bomb blast. They are also chased by other terrorist organizations because everyone wants to find this gem because it's so precious. So this is a story of three main protagonists who are chased by both the police and the terrorists. And the police chase is led by another lady by name Nisha Sharma, who is an SP. So that's the essential summary of the story. So this is if you look at Srimad Bhagavatam, the story is mentioned there. It's this gem originally belonged to the sun god Surya, and that's how the title comes, the curse of Surya. There's a person, nobleman by name Satyajit, who is one of the noblemen in Krishna's time. He is in Krishna's kingdom, who prays to the sun god and gets this gem. What Krishna tells him is that this gem belongs to me and my grandfather Ugrasena, because this was found in our kingdom, right? So anything that a subject gets belongs to the king or the emperor of the country. But Satyajit is not willing to give it. So what he does, he says to Krishna that this is my gem, I prayed and I got it, so there is no business for me to give it to you. And he keeps it. He in turn gifts it to his brother Prasena. Now Prasena one day goes hunting, and there he is killed by a lion, and the lion sees a very shining piece of gem around his neck, it takes it away. This lion is spotted by a bear, which is Jambavan, and Jambavan kills the lion and takes it into its cave to give it to its child. Now what happens, the entire city is looking for Prasena because it doesn't come for hunting for 2-3 days. And then Satyajit starts spreading a false rumor. He says that Lord Krishna was the one who came and asked me for the gem and I didn't give it to him. He's so greedy that he has just killed Prasena. And this rumor spreads like wildfire, and Krishna comes to know. And that is when he feels very bad, and he decides that if at all he is going to get rid of this false accusation, the only way he can do it is to find the gem. So he goes hunting for Prasena into the forest. He finds Prasena's dead body, he finds a dead lion, and then finally fights with Jambavan for 18 days. And then at the end of it, Jambavan realizes he would have come in Ramayana also, right? He is the person who has helped Lord Rama while building the bridge. So he realizes that this is none other but an avatar of Rama. So he falls at his feet and then begs for forgiveness and hands over the gem. And then Krishna goes to Satyajit and hands over the gem, and then everyone realizes he is innocent. So the story, that this is the legend which is there in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Now what I have done, I have taken this story And the modern story is built on similar lines. If you look at Sangeeta Rao and Alan Davis, they come to Mathura Krishna Janmasthan. There is a major bomb blast and terrorist attack. They are wrongly accused of the terrorist attack, and they realize, like Lord Krishna did, the only way they can absolve themselves from this is to hunt for the gem and give it to the Indian government to prove their innocence. So there is an analogy between an incident of Shamantaka that happened 5000 years back and an incident that happens in 2050. I have dwelled a little bit about it, but the reason I am not going to give too much of information because that's a suspense. The person who is behind all these bomb blasts, that's kept as a suspense which is revealed only at the end. Okay, to answer your question, there is less focus on the working of the terrorist organization. And I think the major part is these people get different secret codes on the treasure hunt. If you look at these three people, the main protagonists, Sangeeta Rao, Alan Davis and Anton Blanchard, they get a lot of clues and cryptograms on where this gem is residing. So major part of the book is they trying to crack these codes, trying to decipher the codes, and then go from Mathura to Dwarka, Dwarka to Bet Dwarka, then they go underwater scuba diving. So the whole book is centered around the treasure hunt or a chase. These codes are written 5000 years or probably around 5000 years back, because it was written by Vajranabha, who is a descendant of Lord Krishna. No, this part is the code part is my story. Yes, Vajranabha existed. Vajranabha is a descendant of Lord Krishna. He existed, but he writing these codes to tell where it is located, that is fiction. But the places that I describe, for example, I describe Dwarka, Dwarkadish temple. I describe 5 wells in Panchananda Tirth where they go and explore for the gem. Then they go to an island called Bet Dwarka. So the entire description of Bet Dwarka, the physical locations of the temples where they hunt, it's all there. It's all authentic. Then I also talk about the lost city in Arabian Sea, again, which I said Dr. S.R. Rao has already found it. So all the places are pretty authentic because I had visited during my first book. So in a way, to elaborate a little bit more, my first book and the third book are interrelated. At the time of writing my Krishna book, I did 5 years of extensive research. I went to places in and around Mathura, Dwarka, Somnath, Kurukshetra multiple times, and it took me 5 years of extensive research to write it. That time I saw many fascinating places, and that was the one that triggered me to write this fiction book. So all the places that are described in this are authenticated by my visits. No, that's a very, very valid question, and especially when you go to certain places, when you hear multiple stories, you always wonder, which is true. Let me give you a little bit examples. When you go to Braj Bhumi, there is a place 10 miles away from Mathura called as Gokul, which says that this is the original Gokul of Krishna's time that we have read, right? Just 2 kilometers away, there is a place called Mahavan, which says that is the original Gokul. And they said that later on it got renamed as Mahavan, but this is where the legends happen. Now, if you go to Mahavan and Gokul, in both the towns, the guides will show you places where a lot of pastimes of Krishna have happened, and they said this is the place. So definitely there is a little bit of controversy to it. Similarly, if you come to Gujarat, a lot of people who stay in Dwarka, mainland Dwarka, which is the southernmost tip of the country, they said that this is the Dwarka of Lord Krishna. But then when you go for about a 1 hour drive to Oka and then take a ferry for another 15-20 minutes, there is an island called Bet Dwarka. In Gujarati, Bet means island. Now the residents of Bet Dwarka say that this is the original Dwarka of Krishna, and what is in mainland is just a modern Dwarka. This is the ancient Dwarka. Now you also have people like S.R. Rao who say that a major part of Dwarka is actually not Bet Dwarka or mainland Dwarka, but a major part is buried under Arabian Sea 5000 years ago. So now you have 3 Dwarkas to contend with, to find out which is what. So my interpretation is maybe all 3 at one time were the same Dwarka, and when there was a tsunami which happened when Lord Krishna left the planet, the tsunami probably brought all the waters and filled it towards the Arabian Sea, and then it separated 2 lands. One land which remained with Gujarat is the mainland Dwarka, and the one that became an island is the Bet Dwarka. So that is a very scientific way of trying to analyze. So far the response has been pretty good. One of the things that I am getting repeatedly feedback from lot of readers and people, that is people who send me mails or who have posted comments on say Goodreads or Amazon or Flipkart, is sizable number of people have been telling me that they should be made into a movie, either into an English or a Hindi movie. So right now I am also very seriously contemplating of making this into a Bollywood or a Hollywood movie. So hopefully, if things work well, in a year or a couple of years' time, we should have Curse of Surya as a movie on the big screen.